We're not waiting for this Swatch.
The Swatch event has been canceled.
They waited till 8.
So please, make your way to your vehicles.
I'm trying to go shopping though.
The APX Swatch release wasn't just a watch launch, it turned into a full-blown scene unfolding across cities around the world. The second this royal oak-inspired Swatch collection got announced, people locked in fast. Some loved it instantly, others couldn't stand it. Critics were calling it cheap plastic. Some were saying it hurt the image of AP. But while people argued back and forth, one thing became impossible to ignore. Everyone was talking about it. For days, timelines stayed flooded with debates, photos, opinions, and people showing exactly where they stood. Love it or hate it, the release grabbed attention in a massive way.
We are not animals. The store is not opening today. This is fucking stupid shit.
The colorful versions especially pulled people in. Pink, yellow, bright designs that stood out immediately. Some people were even thinking about grabbing one themselves. The problem? Getting one wasn't simple. Reports started spreading that people were camping outside stores for days, not hours, days. Some locations allegedly had people waiting nearly an entire week just for a chance to buy one. Then things took another turn. Certain stores suddenly pulled the plug completely. Crowds had reportedly gotten too chaotic, too packed, too difficult to manage. Locations that were expected to sell watches suddenly announced it wasn't happening anymore. People who had spent days waiting walked away empty-handed. Online reactions exploded. One person posted, "I understand the hype around the Swatch AP collab, but seeing people line up like crazy, even for that pocket watch, which honestly looks more like a toy, is beyond my imagination. Absolutely wild." And the scenes coming out from different places only pushed the story even further. Crowds gathering, packed sidewalks, massive lines stretching outside stores. India saw huge turnouts. Birmingham, England exploded too.
Alright, so we are at Swatch in Battersea. As you can see, it is literally mental. There's fights going on, there's police dogs. They're saying they're letting no one in the shop, but I reckon they will do, but it's actually like, it's chaos. They're saying they're going to let the police dogs off the lead in a minute, but who knows? But yeah, chaos, absolute chaos.
The bullring area quickly became part of the conversation as crowds showed up hoping to get their hands on the release. People online were already building the moment up before the watches even arrived. Anticipation kept growing, tension kept building. By the time the APX Swatch launch hit certain cities, it wasn't feeling like a normal watch drop anymore. It felt like an event people didn't want to miss. What started as excitement quickly turned into something way bigger. Crowds packed together, lines stretched down sidewalks. Videos from different cities showed confusion, noise, people trying to hold spots, and stores struggling to control the situation. What was supposed to be a watch release suddenly looked more like a major event spiraling into chaos. And the wild part? Some people started wondering if all of this madness was actually helping AP more than hurting it. When the collaboration first got announced, criticism came flying in fast. People online questioned whether the brand was making the wrong move. Some argued the release cheapened AP's image. Others felt a luxury name stepping into a more accessible lane changed how people viewed the brand. But as the launch unfolded, another side of the story started showing itself. Attention, massive attention. Even people who already owned AP watches were watching everything happen. Crowds were showing up in huge numbers. Social feeds stayed flooded with posts. Conversations kept growing bigger every single day. And then another layer entered the picture. resale prices. Reports started spreading that watches originally selling around retail pricing were suddenly appearing online for dramatically higher numbers. Listings reportedly reached into the thousands of dollars. People online started posting claims about flipping watches for major profits. One person posted they had made thousands from a single watch sale. Platforms like Instagram, resale sites, and collector communities filled up with screenshots, listings, and discussions about prices climbing fast. The demand created something bigger than just hype, opportunity. For some buyers, getting one wasn't only about owning the watch. The resale market suddenly became part of the story too. Videos from places like the UK showed packed crowds and long lines continuing to build. The energy kept escalating, and reports from watch outlets and collectors suggested something even more surprising. Certain pieces were already being listed for resale before many people had even gotten their hands on them. The APX Swatch launch wasn't moving like a normal product release anymore. It had turned into a global frenzy where collectors, casual buyers, and resellers all collided at the exact same moment. The deeper this story went, the clearer it became. This wasn't just about watches anymore. The APX Swatch release had turned into something bigger. Hype, scarcity, resale culture, online debates, all of it crashing together at once because the reality was simple. Take one of the most recognizable luxury watch designs in the world, mix it with a lower price point, add limited availability. You were never getting a quiet Saturday morning. People started preparing early. Camping chairs showed up, portable chargers, long waits outside stores. Resale listings started appearing before some buyers had even touched the product. And online, the conversation was moving even faster. The watches officially launched through selected Swatch boutiques, but resale markets were already heating up before launch day fully arrived. Listings reportedly started showing up online with asking prices far above retail. Some sellers aimed high, really high. Collectors and watch communities watched prices climb, while debates exploded over whether the pieces were worth it. But here's where the strategy behind the release started standing out. The collection wasn't simply a lower cost version of a traditional AP wristwatch. Instead, AP and Swatch went another direction entirely. They created colorful bioceramic pocket watches inspired by Royal Oak pocket watch designs. Mechanical movement, distinct octagonal shape, exposed screws, bold colors that immediately grabbed attention. And compared to luxury pricing people normally associate with AP, these launched at a much more accessible level. That changed everything, because suddenly the audience wasn't only serious collectors anymore, it became longtime watch fans, casual buyers, resellers, people chasing hype, people chasing profit, and people who simply wanted to be part of the moment. And because the initial release focused on physical store locations instead of immediate online availability, demand only got louder. The resale market moved fast, really fast. People online started describing it like a business opportunity unfolding in real time. Buyers calculating resale numbers, sellers posting listings early, watch communities tracking prices almost minute by minute. Meanwhile, AP gained something just as valuable: attention, massive attention. Luxury collectors were talking, casual audiences were talking, people who normally never discussed watches suddenly had opinions. That kind of visibility is hard to manufacture, and somehow this release found a way to create it naturally. What started as a colorful watch collaboration had evolved into something completely different, a launch driven by hype, scarcity, internet culture, and a resale market already moving before most customers even had the chance to walk into a store. As the frenzy kept growing, something unexpected started happening. People who normally never paid attention to Swatch suddenly found themselves looking twice. For some, the release opened a door they never planned on walking through. People browsed the brand's website, looked through collections, and spotted models they actually liked. That was a part of what made the whole situation so interesting. The collaboration wasn't only creating hype around one launch, it was putting attention on the entire brand. And then came what happened in London. One person close to the situation headed toward the launch at Westfield, London, one of the city's biggest shopping destinations, hoping to grab one of the watches. It never happened. According to what they described, the scene had already spiraled. Crowds, confusion, people packed together, and eventually cancellation. The watch never made it into their hands.
What the fuck is going on, you man? What the fuck? All of this, man. All of these, man. For fucking this. Oh my fucking god. Oh my fucking god. Hey yo, you man, who's that side? Who's that side? Oh my fucking god. Bro. What What the fuck, man? We got
Stories like that started showing up more and more. People arriving early, waiting hours, some waiting far longer, only to leave disappointed. Then footage from London started spreading.
Bro, look at all of this fucking... They literally ran up and are trying to break it. It's on site, bro, it's on site. Fuck. Crazy, this... Dogs on one side.
The videos painted a chaotic picture. Long lines, packed tightly together, security trying to manage growing crowds, people pushing forward hoping not to miss their chance. The energy around the release had completely transformed. For many people watching online, the reason seemed obvious: the resale market. Reports of watches appearing online for dramatically higher prices created even more urgency. The possibility of turning a retail purchase into something worth significantly more only added fuel to demand. And suddenly, what should have been a simple launch became something much harder to control.
Jetzt geht's ab, jetzt wird sich geboxt hier. Da.
The bigger question started shifting away from the watches themselves. People began asking whether companies should expect situations like this when building major hype around limited releases, because while the launch generated enormous attention, some people felt frustrated by how certain locations unfolded, especially where stores closed sales or canceled plans after crowds had already gathered. For buyers who spent time traveling, waiting, or planning around release day, that frustration felt real. Meanwhile, Swatch remained at the center of one of the biggest watch conversations on the internet. Attention exploded, visibility exploded, discussion exploded. But alongside all that excitement came another conversation. What responsibility comes with creating demand this massive? Because by the end of it all, this wasn't only a story about watches anymore. It had become a story about hype culture, scarcity, internet momentum, and what happens when anticipation grows bigger than anyone expected. As more footage surfaced, the conversation around the launch started changing. At first, people focused on the hype, the lines, the excitement, the resale prices climbing higher and higher. But after canceled launches and packed crowds, frustration started taking over too. Some people questioned whether buyers who left disappointed would come back again after spending hours waiting, sometimes much longer, only to walk away empty-handed. Reactions online became harder to ignore.
Happy days.
And while disappointment grew, the attention around the release only kept getting bigger. Store locations that normally never saw this kind of traffic suddenly became the center of major crowds. Westfield locations in London became part of the story. Videos showed heavy security presence, crowd control measures, packed entrances, and launch plans changing in real time. The demand had reached a level few people expected. One thing even critics agreed on: Swatch had never seen attention like this before. People online pointed out how unusual it felt seeing massive crowds gather around a Swatch release. Collectors, resellers, casual shoppers, curious observers, everyone seemed pulled into the same moment. And the story wasn't limited to one country. Scenes from different parts of the UK showed stores struggling to manage turnout, Footage circulating online showed large crowds, security teams responding, and reports of disruptions around certain locations. Then attention shifted across Asia. Bangalore became another city where major crowds reportedly formed around the launch. Videos showed long lines stretching through shopping areas as people waited for their chance. Some locations appeared more organized, others faced heavier challenges. But one thing stayed consistent everywhere: demand. Then another debate exploded online. Were people showing up because they truly wanted the watch, or because they wanted what came after? The resale market. Reports of listings climbing far above retail pricing continued spreading. People debated whether buyers were collectors chasing something special or resellers hoping to capitalize on demand. Others pointed out another detail: the collection wasn't positioned as an ultra-limited one-time release, which made the frenzy even more surprising to some people watching from the outside. Crowds this massive, energy this intense, debates this loud. For a colorful watch collaboration, the launch had somehow transformed into something much bigger than anyone expected. And by now, one thing was undeniable: the APX Swatch release wasn't operating like a normal watch drop anymore. It had become a worldwide event fueled by hype, scarcity, speculation, and thousands of people all trying to be part of the exact same moment. As more stories came out, a pattern started becoming harder to ignore. For many people watching everything unfold, it no longer felt like crowds were only showing up because they loved watches. The resale market had become part of the story. Reports kept spreading about buyers hoping to purchase at retail and potentially sell later for significantly higher prices. The possibility of quick profit added another layer to the frenzy, and that created a strange reality. Some people believed demand would eventually cool down once supply increased. Others argued the early rush was driven by something bigger: social media. People wanted to post it, show it, be part of the moment. The APX Swatch release had become one of those rare internet events where hype seemed to multiply by the hour. Then stories from launch locations added even more controversy. In India, frustration boiled over after reports from people who attended certain launch events described confusion, crowd issues, and disappointment. One attendee shared that they had waited more than 12 hours only to leave without a watch. According to accounts posted online, some people believe crowd management failed as turnout increased throughout the morning. Others claimed confusion around security, and crowd organization made an already difficult situation worse. The biggest frustration: people felt the lines never properly formed. Reports and online posts described accusations that certain individuals attempted to gain advantages during the process, creating even more tension among people who had been waiting for hours. Whether fully accurate or not, the perception online spread quickly, and once that happened, frustration only grew louder. People described leaving exhausted, drained, disappointed. Some attendees claimed the experience completely changed how they viewed the release, because for many buyers, this wasn't supposed to feel stressful, it was supposed to be exciting. The bigger conversation started moving beyond the watch itself. People online debated whether chasing massive hype moments was even worth it. Some argued collectors should focus on buying watches they genuinely enjoy rather than getting pulled into internet-driven rushes, whether that meant an entry-level watch, a luxury piece, or something in between. The conversation shifted toward value, personal taste, and avoiding getting caught inside hype cycles. But that debate only made the APX Swatch story grow bigger, because the release wasn't slowing down, not yet. Reports and footage kept surfacing from different countries, different cities, different stores, and every new location seemed to add another chapter. The wildest part? At the center of all this noise sat a colorful pocket watch collaboration that somehow managed to create worldwide crowds, resale debates, launch controversies, and non-stop internet conversation all at the same time. And the story still wasn't finished, because even across America, scenes were starting to unfold too. The chaos wasn't slowing down, if anything it was spreading. As footage and stories kept appearing online, city after city started adding another chapter to the APX Swatch launch story. Austin, Texas became one of them. Crowds formed. Police presence increased. Videos from the scene showed authorities responding as stores dealt with growing turnout and crowd control concerns. The release that started as a watch collaboration kept creating moments that looked more like major event management situations than a normal shopping day. And it wasn't only Austin, Miami quickly entered the conversation too. Reports and online videos showed large crowds gathering around launch locations, with people moving quickly through shopping areas as excitement and confusion collided. The demand had reached a level stores clearly weren't prepared for. Some people watching online started asking the same question. Could launch planning have been handled differently? Maybe earlier distribution, different crowd systems, alternative release methods. Ideas kept flying across social media as more footage surfaced, because once disappointment started mixing with massive hype, criticism followed fast. Then Switzerland, the home of legendary watchmaking itself, entered the story. One attendee shared frustration after waiting for hours in freezing conditions, only to leave disappointed. According to posts circulating online, some buyers believed certain models had extremely limited availability or sold out faster than expected. Others questioned whether stock levels matched the level of demand. Frustration boiled over. People who had invested time waiting felt let down. Online complaints piled up. Some buyers questioned fairness, others criticized launch execution. A few even shared suspicions about how inventory had been handled, though those claims remained allegations circulating online. What kept repeating across city after city was the same pattern: excitement, massive turnout, growing pressure, disappointment for some buyers, and non-stop online conversation keeping the momentum alive. That last part mattered, because every frustrated post, every crowd video, every discussion thread, it all pushed attention back toward the release again. By now, the APX Swatch collaboration had moved far beyond watches. It had become internet culture, scarcity culture, resale culture, a global moment unfolding in real time across different countries at once. And whether people loved the release or completely hated how things played out, almost everyone was watching. As the launch chaos kept unfolding, another side of the story started showing itself. Not everyone walked away excited. For some people, the experience left a bad impression. Long waits, canceled plans, crowds that felt impossible to manage, online discussions filled with frustration from buyers who felt the process simply wasn't worth it. At the same time, others actually managed to get their hands on the watch, and those stories only added more fuel to everything happening. One buyer shared their experience online. "I've never seen anything like this, and according to their account, they arrived early in the morning and still found hundreds of people already waiting ahead of them. Then things moved fast, really fast. They claimed the watch sold out within minutes. The resale market reacted almost immediately. The buyer said they paid well above retail pricing and started receiving even higher offers shortly after stock reportedly disappeared. Different colors were suddenly being valued differently. Certain versions reportedly climbed faster than others. The entire thing started feeling less like a normal watch release and more like a market moving in real time. People watching online compared it to past internet hype cycles, where demand exploded almost instantly. And sitting right in the middle of all of it was one question: keep it or flip it? Because for some buyers, owning the watch was the goal. For others, resale opportunities had become impossible to ignore. That debate led straight into one of the biggest frustrations surrounding the launch. Resellers, people online argued over whether resale culture was ruining releases like this. Some accepted it as part of modern collector culture. Others felt it made launches harder for genuine buyers who simply wanted the product itself. Then stories from Europe added another layer. Posts circulating online claimed groups of people traveled specifically to participate in launches, hoping to secure watches during the early demand surge. Photos and videos spread quickly. Speculation spread even faster. Some people argued the situation reflected resale culture getting bigger than ever. Others pointed toward larger conversations about internet hype and how quickly products can transform into opportunities for profit. Meanwhile, frustration continued building across parts of the UK. Reports surfaced about stores closing locations or canceling plans after major crowds formed outside. News coverage started picking up the story. People lined up expecting a launch, some left disappointed, and by now the pattern felt familiar. Huge anticipation, massive turnout, limited supply, explosive online reaction. The APX Swatch release had become something bigger than almost anyone expected, not just a watch story. a story about hype, scarcity, resale culture, and what happens when internet demand moves faster than real-world supply can keep up. By this point, the launch wasn't just making headlines because of the watches, it was making headlines because stores were shutting down. As crowds kept growing across multiple cities, Swatch locations in parts of the UK started announcing closures tied to safety concerns. According to reports at the time, locations in London were among those affected, alongside stores in Birmingham, Cardiff, Glasgow, Liverpool, Manchester, and Sheffield. The reason being shared publicly: safety for customers and staff. That announcement immediately pushed the story even further, because people had already traveled, already waited, already planned entire days, sometimes longer, around getting one of these watches, and now some locations weren't opening at all. The collaboration itself had already built enormous anticipation. 8 colorful pocket watch models inspired by luxury watch design language, pricing positioned far below traditional high-end watch territory, a release strategy focused heavily around physical stores. Everything about it created demand, massive demand. At the same time, resale prices being discussed online kept climbing. Listings reportedly appeared at numbers dramatically above retail pricing. Some asking prices shocked people watching from the sidelines. Collectors debated whether those numbers reflected true market value or simply early hype colliding with limited availability. Either way, attention kept growing. Then more reports surfaced from around the UK. In Liverpool, reports indicated people had camped outside shopping areas waiting for launch day. Authorities also responded to reports involving crowd concerns around certain locations. In Cardiff, police activity connected to crowd management became part of the story too. According to reporting at the time, officers responded after large groups gathered around shopping areas connected to the release. The APX Swatch collaboration had officially reached a point where crowd control itself became headline news. And it wasn't staying inside one country. The same pattern kept repeating internationally. Large lines, early arrivals, people waiting overnight, people waiting days. The demand crossed borders. Reports from New York suggested some watch enthusiasts had lined up for extended periods hoping to secure one. Dubai also reportedly saw launch disruptions connected to major turnout. Everywhere the same formula seemed to collide. Massive hype, limited access, internet demand moving faster than stores could realistically handle. And with every canceled launch or closure announcement, frustration kept building. Some buyers blamed planning, others blamed resale culture, others simply believed the release had grown bigger than anyone expected. Because by now this wasn't operating like a watch launch anymore. It felt like a global event moving faster than the people organizing it could keep up. And somehow, a colorful watch collaboration had turned into one of the biggest internet-driven retail stories of the moment. In the end, this was exactly what hype culture creates: massive lines, crowded sidewalks, people camping overnight, security concerns, store shutdowns, resale madness, a watch launch turning into a worldwide event. Swatch described the collection as something inspired by pop art movements from the 1950s and 1960s, built around bold colors, energy, and playful creativity. One thing nobody can argue with: it definitely got people talking, because whether people loved the launch or hated it, almost everybody had an opinion. And maybe that's part of why the story exploded the way it did. A P already carried status, luxury, recognition, the kind of brand people know immediately. For longtime watch fans, that appeal was already there. But this collaboration pushed AP into conversations far outside traditional collector circles. Suddenly, people who never talked about watches before were talking about watches. People who never cared about AP knew the name. People who never followed launches were suddenly watching store lines, resale prices, and social media updates. That kind of attention is powerful, really powerful. But attention cuts both ways, because while one side of the internet saw brilliant marketing, another side saw frustration. People felt disappointed, people felt shut out. People felt launch planning didn't match the level of demand that had been created. And when buyers spend hours or even days waiting for something and leave empty-handed, reactions are always going to be strong. That became part of the story too. The APX Swatch collaboration didn't only create excitement, it created debate, questions about hype culture, questions about resale culture, questions about whether launches built around scarcity are helping brands or pushing loyal customers away. And maybe that's the biggest takeaway from everything that happened. This wasn't really about a watch anymore. It became a story about demand, internet momentum, modern collecting, and what happens when online hype grows bigger than real world systems can handle. Love the release, hate the release, think it was genius marketing, think it completely missed the mark. Either way, people won't forget it anytime soon. Now I want to hear from you. Would you wait hours or even days for a release like this? Did Swatch handle this the right way? And would you buy one if you had the chance? Drop your thoughts down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to see this story. More videos coming soon.